Hey, welcome back. You missed us. We returned following a Colts bye week. The Jack Doyle podcast is back. I'm Matt Taylor. That's the great Jack Doyle. Jack, welcome back, my friend. How was your bye week? We missed you.
Yeah, I missed you. I'm excited to be back and talk about another Colts win.
You didn't miss me.
I did miss you, Matt, because I'm a very routine-based guy.
This has become part of your
not to say
deal.
that I didn't miss you personally, but when my routine gets changed, I'm all
you're disoriented.
Yeah, I'm all frazzled.
You found ways to.
Yeah, I filled the time. I filled the time.
Yeah. No, and so did the Colts, right? So a well-rested team going into week number 12. The Kansas City Chiefs are up next, and we'll talk about them. Boy, oh boy, they're reeling a little bit. I read, obviously they're 5-5, but doing some research and doing some digging, Jack, they have not lost 3 games in a row, which could be the case on Sunday if the Colts give them the business. They have not lost 3 games in a row since 2017. That predates Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, that's an impressive stat right there and shows the dominance they've had for this run with Patrick leading them as a quarterback. But, yeah, it'll be a great challenge. It's a great atmosphere. And the Colts are up for it. They've responded to challenges all year, so let's go get it.
All right, busy podcast today. We're going to talk about the 8-2 Colts off the bye. We'll talk about the Chiefs. We're going to talk about what the potential is now for a healthy secondary. Knock on wood, cross your fingers, whatever you want to do. There's a good chance that Charvarius Ward could come off of injured reserve this week. He's been missing in the secondary the last 4 games due to a concussion. What is the potential of Charvarius Ward and Sauce Gardner and Kenny Moore all together healthy in the same secondary all at the same time? So we'll talk about that. And also, too, the consistency of this offensive line. Your guy, Quenton Nelson, is going to join the podcast as well. You fired up for that?
Oh, I'm fired up for Big Q, man. I mean,
you guys were teammates for 4 years,
yeah,
right?
What an honor it was just to be his teammate. And hopefully, we get to learn a little bit about Q and peel back the helmet, as you like to say, Matt, and see what he's got in store for us.
Well, let's get in the time machine. Let's go back. I don't want to spend a ton of time on Germany, right, because that's kind of in the rearview mirror. But I do want to get your thoughts on just the spectacle of that game, because you watched. I was there, so I got the front row seat, if you will. But so many Colts fans and so many national followers of the NFL weren't there, and I think it's more important from an international standpoint on how it translates to TV.
Yeah.
What did you think of how it looked, how it popped, all the colors inside the stadium, the flags before the game? What did you think of how it translated to television?
Yeah, it was beautiful, Matt. It really was. I mean, you're playing in a historic stadium, an Olympic stadium. I mean, you think of the things that have gone on there with Jesse Owens to, World Cups, and you could feel that, coming through the TV screen. And, I keep thinking of a shot, they zoomed in on Daniel. He kind of had a cut in his mouth or whatever, and he had blood, kind of coming out, and you just see darkness behind him. It looked like theater, all the lights were on the entertainment on the field. And so, yeah, it was really cool, and even better that the Colts got the win.
Yeah. I mean, you had the American chants, you had the German chants, but then you also had the blending of the two with all the cultures coming together to sing Neil Diamond and John Denver, and I think I heard some Aerosmith, some Bon Jovi. I mean, that's kind of what it was like in Frankfurt. But I sort of think Berlin is a bigger stage, obviously a bigger stadium. Everything felt bigger, and I just think after that experience, now we've done it twice in the last 3 years. 3 different German cities have hosted NFL games now, with Frankfurt, Munich, and Berlin. I think the German experience is here to stay. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, sports is it brings so many different people together, and I think that's what you got to see, Matt. And football is the ultimate team sport. It brings people together and cheering for a cause, and they just want to watch good football. That's their Super Bowl over there. They're preparing all year for it. So yeah, it was really cool to just to watch from afar.
All right, so it was about a 10-hour plane ride home.
Ooh.
Okay. You've been on some great epic plane rides home. You've been on some terrible plane rides back after tough losses. What is the difference between the Falcons plane ride home for 10 hours and the Colts plane ride home for 10 hours?
Man, I can't imagine what the Falcons were feeling. And then they had to come back and play the next week.
They don't get the bye.
And they went to overtime again. So they had to be reeling on that plane, and you're trying to shut your brain off and get some sleep, and so you can snap back into your routine. And yeah, it had to be a tough ride for them. But for the Colts, from the Colts' perspective, I mean, you're excited. You win an overtime game. Jonathan Taylor has a great game. All that fun stuff, and you're hanging out with your buddies and having fun. Maybe for an hour or two, and then it's like, all right, I'm going to bed.
Leave me alone. I'm tired.
Headphones go in. Everyone be quiet. We all need to go to sleep, and get ready for this bye week. But yeah, that's one of the things you miss as a player. You miss the moments like that. I miss hanging out with the teammates after a win. Being in the locker room after a win, plane rides, all that fun stuff is what you miss. So I hope the guys are really enjoying it.
The game itself and the victory, I mean, it felt like a playoff win just because of the magnitude of the game, the atmosphere of the game, and just also too, from an outsider's perspective, just how much logistics go into the game, right? I mean, there's all these different things that make it feel like a non-regular season game, even though it is, but you're playing it across the world and all that goes into that. So after the game on the plane ride home, Zaire Franklin takes the mic. I don't know where he got it. Maybe he sneaks into the pilot's cabinet, I should say, and he's on the mic and he's rapping and he's making fun of guys and poking fun at people and getting everybody riled up on the plane ride. Who was that guy for you when you played? Who was the biggest victim, if you will, that would go after guys on the microphone in the plane?
Well, I played with Pat McAfee.
All right.
So,
fair enough.
There's
enough said.
Enough times that Pat got on the mic, that's for sure. Zaire would do it back then, too. Zaire was a great leader from the beginning. Eric Walden's one of the funniest guys I've ever been around.
Oh, yeah.
He would get on the mic, too. So, again, Matt, those are the things you miss, being around your guys and with your teammates. And you work so hard to just win a football game. And then you get to win it. And like you said, you win a game like that where it feels like more than just one. It feels like a playoff win with the atmosphere and everything that kind of went into it. So, it's just so much fun when you get to enjoy it with your guys.
You know what the dump button is on radio? The concept of the dump button?
Yeah.
So you mentioned Eric Walden. So you guys played the Tennessee Titans. I don't know. I'm just guessing here, 2015, 16, 17, somewhere in there. You guys scratched out a late fourth quarter win at home. I'm doing sideline reporting. I go up to Eric Walden, in the moment, right? Still huffing and puffing, chasing Mariota. I said, how good does it feel to get this win in the fourth quarter, gutting it out? And he's like, oh, Mariota, man, he's fast as shh. And I was like, dump button, please, somewhere. Somebody listening, hit the dump button.
He is one of a kind. Heck of a football player, man. He was tough.
Fast as shh.
Hard-nosed, man. I think he headbutted it was probably the same game. He headbutted Delaney Walker.
Yeah,
and he wasn't.
I remember that.
I think Eric Walden wasn't wearing a helmet or something I don't know. Something crazy happened, but he was a heck of a football player, and going against him in practice got me a lot better. I know that. And,
no doubt.
And then he was on Tennessee, I think, in 17 and got to play against him a little bit and got to feel the wrath. But what a great teammate, funny guy, man.
He was authentic.
And played football, the right way.
All right, speaking of authentic, this offense is authentic. It's still leading the NFL in scoring. The Colts are 8-2. I mean, just look at the individual pieces here. I mean, Daniel Jones experiencing career resurgence. Jonathan Taylor's season already off the charts. He's still, with a week off, still the only player in the NFL rushing-wise over 1,000 yards already. Tyler Warren is on pace to break the Colts rookie tight end record for both catches and receiving yards. All of these things, Jack, I want to know for you, after 10 weeks and a week off and the Colts playing, I would say still a marquee game against the Kansas City Chiefs on the road and kind of what it stands for psychologically. What are your favorite parts of this Colts team so far, now that we've kind of had a time to sit back and there's a break in the action going into the home stretch with 7 games left?
Yeah, Matt, it's obviously Jonathan Taylor is, a front runner for the MVP, but it's everybody that's contributing, right? I mean, you talked about how well Daniel Jones is playing. Tyler Warren, obviously we talked about Jonathan. You can throw in Pierce, you can throw in Pittman, all these guys on offense, and defense is coming up with timely stops that,
right,
when the team needs it. They're playing complementary football, and there's just so many things to be impressed with, and it takes everybody, right? You can't ride one person. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor is our guy, and the offense kind of all comes off of him, but everyone's contributing, and everyone's playing a part in the wins, and that's a sign of a good team, and that's what it's going to take going forward.
And off of the bye, again, it's a big game because I think it's, even though the Chiefs are 5-5 and the Colts are 8-2, because of where the game is, and they have Patrick Mahomes. They're never out of it. Andy Reid, etc. The Chiefs are favored in this game, right, over the Colts. So I think it's a statement opportunity for the Colts to go in there and say, the chapter has turned a little bit. This is a different book for both the Colts and the Chiefs. But we talked about this a couple of weeks ago in terms of, as a player, what you do and how you feel going into the bye. How do you feel coming off of the bye, Jack? How tough is it to get back into the swing of things after you've had some major time off?
Yeah, it's a challenge. Practicing on a Monday, it's kind of sloppy, and you're kind of getting your feet back underneath you. And then by the time you hit about halfway through practice Wednesday, you're like, all right, I'm back. Yeah, my routine's back.
It's like the bye week never happened.
Yeah, I feel like I'm back in my routine of what you do throughout a season. But yeah, that's why it's good to have that practice on a Monday coming off a bye and kind of just shake the cobwebs out and get back to playing football and get back in your normal routine of the week. So yeah, I think the Colts will be ready to go. Again, it takes great veteran leadership to get guys back going and be like, hey, vacation's over, let's roll. And having a great challenge ahead of you and going into Kansas City in a big game should wake the guys up, plenty.
Yeah, I mean, if guys come in a little bit sluggish, is it who is that guy? Is it the quarterback, or is it the leaders on the defense? Hey, guys, get your head out of your you know what? Like it's time to go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's Zaire, it's Quenton, it's Daniel, it's these guys that have shown they're leaders of this team, and Big Grove, will set the tone up front and just getting guys back going. And again, the Colts have not, there hasn't been a letdown. These guys have, handled success, and they're going to have to continue to do that as we go through the end of this season. Right. And so yeah, again, I keep crediting the veteran leadership and what these guys and how they're leading in the locker room right now.
You mentioned by Wednesday you're pretty much individually back, but when you have a week off and when this offense is humming at the pace in which it has been playing so far this season, I don't know, this might be a weird question, but how long does it take when you're not playing full speed football, when you have a 2-week gap between full goes, if you will, how long does it take to kind of like find your rhythm and your footing from a timing standpoint on offense?
Yeah,
with all 11 guys.
Yeah, it might take a minute early in the game, honestly, and you kind of just want to get the first few plays, I don't want to say out of the way, but yeah, it kind of feels that way and be like, okay, now I'm back, get hit hard one time. Okay, I'm back, right? Or, make a good block and just get your feet underneath you. It is a challenge, but, it's a challenge everyone goes through, and you need the bye for your body, for the long haul and all that fun stuff. But again, the guys will lead the way and get these guys practicing, full go. I'm sure Shane's doing some competition periods to kind of get guys going as close to full go as you can. Obviously, we're not going to be tackling each other in the middle of the season, but, maybe they're doing a 2-point play competition or, a third down competition to get some, not live, but, live competition, not going to the ground or anything like that, but get guys, back in the routine, back in the flow of playing real football.
I know this has nothing to do with this discussion, but is that why so many teams – is that why there's so much discussion around the playoffs and we don't want the bye because we want to keep playing for that reason?
Yeah, you never know what you're going to need, right, as far as injuries go, but there is something to just staying in your routine and just playing, right? Yeah. I mean, that's what we're here to do, play football. So I always kind of liked, it was always, not to say it was a challenge, but I always kind of felt, like we're kind of talking about, Matt, it was a bit of a challenge coming off a bye and getting back in the flow. You kind of take a break, you lay on the couch a little bit. And that's why it's important, we talked about it earlier, and doing as much as you can on the bye and resting, but also not getting too far away from football and staying in your routine as much as you can. So yeah, these guys will get back flowing. You get the bye's positioned perfectly. We got it late in the season, right where you want it. November is always the hardest month of the season, in my opinion. So we get a nice little break. And again, it helps having a great challenge ahead of you. Like, these guys are going to get flowing knowing, hey, we're going down to Kansas City, got to take down the champs, right? At their place. We want to say we're a top team in the AFC. There's no better way to prove it than going down there and getting a win.
Why is November the toughest?
It's just that third quarter. You don't really – it's hard to look ahead to the playoffs or see where you're kind of positioned and you're in the, monotonous parts of the season and just doing the same thing over and over. And, once you I feel like once you hit Thanksgiving and you hit the holidays, it's like it goes really fast and
Sure.
you're just stuck in your routine again and back flowing. But that November, you're like, oh man, we still got to go all the way to January. I don't know if my neck's going to make it. I don't know if my traps are, I got a little whatever going on, my knees hurting, or, there's little things like that. You're like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And you try to just take it one day at a time. But once you hit that December, hey, we're working towards something. We know what's coming.
Yeah.
We got to go finish this the right way.
The guys in the college game, I'm not saying they're not tough, because they are. They're playing big boy Division I college football, but I hear them say all the time, we've played 6 straight games. Like 6 straight games?
Yeah. Like easy.
Like a couple years ago, like the last 2 out of the last 3 years, the Colts haven't had their bye until like mid-December.
Yeah.
Like 12 straight games.
Yeah, and I think that's another part of it is like, especially for young
2 byes.
Especially for young guys, they kind of see the college season kind of ends for a lot of teams around Thanksgiving.
Right.
And you're like, my body clock says like I'm supposed to be done with football.
Right.
And that's what they talk about, the rookie wall
Sure.
and things like that. But you do kind of feel that. But once you get far enough removed from, college and, you're into the NFL routine, you don't really feel that anymore.
Yeah.
But as a young player, I did kind of feel that like, man, my guys are kind of done. But now with college football playoff and if you're part of one of those
15
teams,
games.
you're playing a pretty similar schedule to what we're doing in the NFL.
No doubt about it. All right, let's stop and appreciate. Again, Quenton Nelson's coming up. We're going to appreciate him big time on this podcast. But we have to stop, I think, just from a play-by-play standpoint, like the preparedness of getting ready for a game after a game like Jonathan Taylor had in Berlin. Like, that's hard. It took a long time to like sort and organize and put all the things that Jonathan Taylor did last week in perspective. First, he had a huge game, 244 yards. He broke the all-time franchise record for rushing touchdowns, surpassing the total of Edgerrin James. The scrimmage yards, the catches out of the backfield, the touchdowns. Like, when he has a game like that, it's just like a windfall. It's like a ticker tape. It's like pop, 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 all these things you have to update. And so, like, when he has a game like that, from my perspective, like, we have to just step back and appreciate what we are watching. Again, 7,000 yards for his career. He is the first player to have over 1,100 rushing yards in the first 10 games of a season since DeMarco Murray in 2014. All right, leads the NFL in rushing, yards per game, yards per carry, touchdowns, scrimmage touchdowns, leads the league in yards after contact, which is why he's so dominant, Jack. For you, what are the biggest factors as we step back and appreciate and look at this from the blimp here for Jonathan Taylor? What are the biggest factors to his enormous season so far that's only going to grow?
Yeah, man, you're putting that the right way, and I appreciate you saying that, because we do need to step back and appreciate what this guy is doing. I mean, it is unbelievable. We could do a whole show about the stats and the records he's breaking. It's just amazing to see. But what I think about what we're seeing from Jonathan right now is he looks healthy, right? I think that's the first thing, right? He doesn't seem to be dealing with much right now, and he's moving great. And then the first thing Jonathan would say about his success is the way guys are blocking, right? And it's the whole team. It goes to the O lineman first, right? They're setting the tone up front, and then I got to shout out my tight ends. They're doing a great job. And then the receivers. That's what's different about this Colts team. The way these receivers block downfield is different. It is. I've seen it for all the years I played, and I'm always watching it on TV. Our receivers block different. They block through the whistle. They do the extra efforts because they know Jonathan can go on these long runs. So the first thing out of Jonathan's mouth will be, hey, I got to credit my teammates in the way they're blocking. But, man, I'm just at a loss of words with how this guy plays football, man. And he's a great teammate, a great person. Couldn't happen to a better guy. And it's just unbelievable what he's doing right now and the records he's breaking and helping. And the most important thing, helping the Colts win football games.
Well, you saw it on the 83-yard touchdown. He was bottled up. I mean, it was hilarious. If you're a Colts fan, it's funny. If you're a Falcons fan, no, right? But, I mean, he's dead to rights. And, the Falcons, they have gap control. They're where they're supposed to be. But like you said, the willingness and the trust that Jonathan Taylor has to break it out and know that he's afforded that opportunity because of the willingness on the outside to block through the whistle from Tyler Warren and Alec Pierce, especially on that play.
Yeah.
But then historically, what we see from Michael Pittman Jr., like that to me is a huge part of it when it comes to Jonathan Taylor's vision and knowing that I'm not supposed to go here on this play because it's not where it's designed to go, but I know I can because of my teammates.
Yeah, it's trust, right? It's trust in your teammates. I mean, you're speaking of the 83-yard run, and Pierce is on the back side of not even the side he bounced to. And to watch Pierce just hawk the corner that's kind of got an angle on Jonathan and get in front of him and make the block for him to go the whole way, it's just you just don't see that from everybody, man. And these guys play unselfish football, and they play for their teammate, man. And then Jonathan, again, has the trust in his guys to hold his block. And it's just special. I mean, who can do that, man? He's just flying. And you know what, Matt, one of my favorite things is I go back and watch it, and I've always loved doing this, is watching the sideline and their reaction when he starts to bust it out.
Everybody knew that was going to be the record breaker, too.
Yeah, isn't that fun, man? And there was runs in that game as I go back and watch it where he busts through the first line or whatever. You know, he gets through the first level, blocks through the D, and then he's up on the linebackers, and the sideline goes crazy, and it's only a 6-yard run, but they think he's gonna go every single time.
Surprised when he doesn't.
Yeah, every single time he kind of breaks through that first little, he gets 5 or 6. You're like, oh, here it is. He's going for 60. He's going for whatever.
Right.
So it's fun. Everyone's invested in it. Again, watching the sideline and everyone feels a part of it, right? And that's why you see the extra effort from the guys blocking.
Yeah, Taylor's 83-yard run that he broke the franchise record for rushing touchdowns on was also the longest touchdown in Colts franchise history. That's what I mean. Everything from a play-by-play standpoint, everything that he does is significant because of the milestones and the records and the things that he is doing and the people that he is passing on the way. I mean, it's just a who's who on all of these lists. I mean, Taylor's already produced 3 games this season with at least 150 rushing yards. He scored 3 touchdowns in 5 games already this season. He needs only one more such games, I should say, with 3 touchdowns from scrimmage touchdowns to tie LaDainian Tomlinson for the all-time record for 3 touchdown games in a single season. I mean, it's just absurd what he's accomplishing so far. But with that, Jack, I mean, you know ball better than anybody in this room. How do you expect teams now? There's 7 games to go. It's going to be division heavy now for the Colts. 4 division games left, 2 meetings with Jacksonville and Houston. How do you expect most teams to play the Colts? They always talk about we want to make them play left-handed. Well, they've got Daniel Jones in the passing game with all the weapons that they have through the air. They have Jonathan Taylor on the ground as well. How do you think most teams are going to play, specifically the Colts, in the ground game?
Yeah, it's easy to say, teams are going to sell out to stop the run, but, I think that's kind of why Shane's formula has been the way it is, and it's kind of been a lot of play action, throw early, right, and to soften up the defense, and then it's run it in the second half to kind of finish it. What's Shane saying, throw to score, run to win, right? Yeah. Run to win. So that's the formula it's been. So when teams try to come sell out and stop the run, hey, here we go, a little play action, dump it to Tyler Warren in the flat, give me 12, right? So pick your poison with the way this team's playing right now. If you're a defensive coordinator trying to game plan, I really don't know what the approach is, right? And it's just a great problem to have, for the Colts. And again, it speaks to the unselfishness. Jonathan Taylor doesn't care if he gets 10 carries for 60 yards. If, Daniel goes out there and throws for 400 yards and Pitt has 2 touchdowns, Pierce and Warren and Downs. There's just so many guys, so many weapons on this offense that it's a really big challenge for defenses to come in and try and stop. So, hey, let's go try and sell out and stop the run. Okay. Yeah. Put a linebacker on Tyler Warren. Good luck. You know what I mean? Like that. And I think, again, that's where it's at.
And I've said this so many times, and I apologize, but just to cap off the conversation, I think that's the biggest difference. I think the passing game with Daniel Jones is making Jonathan Taylor more efficient in the running game this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's complementary football, right? I mean, that's what good teams do, and I think a lot of people are comparing, the 21 season to what Jonathan was doing to now, and it's like, we didn't have much of a passing game. I was a part of it.
Not towards the end.
Not towards the end. It was run heavy.
No doubt.
And maybe we got caught up in running it too much and relying too much on Jonathan. and that can kind of, may that get you 4 or 5 games, but, eventually, it runs out. So,
Right.
so yeah, that's what it's just, the Colts are attacking you in so many different ways. Yeah, Jonathan's, even when what do you have, like 32 carries in the game?
He did.
It doesn't feel like we're just turning around, handing it off, right? It feels in the flow of the offense, right? And it doesn't feel forced. So that's tough to defend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question about it. Yeah, the Colts had 323 yards rushing. I know the game went into overtime, so the numbers are going to be inflated, but still, 323 yards rushing. That is the second most highest rushing total in Colts franchise history.
Wow.
They had 519 yards of offense in Berlin. Just put on a show in Germany, got the victory in overtime. Let's switch over to the other side of the ball before we welcome in Quenton Nelson, because I do want to talk about this secondary. We teased it at the top, but you're going to be playing with a full deck of cards here. Knock on wood. Don't know for certain yet on Charvarius Ward, but there's a decent chance he comes off of injured reserve with that concussion. So you pair him with Sauce Gardner, who hopefully by game time, what's the math going to be on that? Like 2.5 weeks of
being a Colt.
just being around this team and being more comfortable with the playbook and knowing the scheme. Then you have one of the greatest at his position going still, and Kenny Moore at the nickel spot. You got Jalen Jones, who's one of the best quote-unquote non-starting cornerbacks in the NFL. He's back to full health after dealing with a hamstring injury for most of the season. And then you got Charvarius Ward knowing Patrick Mahomes really well.
Yeah.
And the scheme, I'm sure it's changed and evolved and adapted. But still, he knows Patrick Mahomes from a DNA standpoint pretty well. They were teammates from 2018 to 2021, won a Super Bowl together in Kansas City. So, Jack, what is your excitement and the potential for this starting secondary as we kind of hit the home stretch here with 7 games to go for the Colts?
Yeah, good timing to have them all, back, right? You're going against Patrick Mahomes and everyone knows what he's been the past X number of years or whatever. But yeah, when you're going against a guy like that, and you can't just, obviously, and Coach Lou knows him well too, and has had great matchups against the Chiefs when he was with the Bengals, but you got to be multiple, and that's what I kind of saw in the overtime against the Falcons. The Colts went more multiple and kind of confused them, and Zaire made those great plays to kind of get us the ball back. But having that secondary back and being able to do different things, right? When you're facing a great quarterback, you can't show the same thing over and over, or they will pick you apart, right? And you have great corners that you trust, right? And having Sauce up to speed with all the different multiple things we're going to try and show, and showing man, and then going to zone, or showing zone, going to man, and trying to just create that tick, right? And then that's helping the pass rush get there, right? So, having the strength of your secondary back is going to help everyone around them, right? It's going to help the pass rush. It's going to help the linebackers in coverage and not asking them to do too much. And so, yeah, it's going to be huge. And like I said, great timing to come back for the great challenge of going to Kansas City.
I bring this up just from a discussion standpoint. How evident and clear, obvious has it been from an operational standpoint for the Colts that they have to be able to win on defense in the secondary based on the moves that they have made starting back in free agency in the spring? You bring in Ward, Jalen Jones is coming back. We thought Juju Brents was going to be a big part of this defensive secondary. That didn't work, but it's not like the Colts sat on their hands. They bring in Cam Bynum, and then when things get tough, here's Xavier Howard. He's a big name. That doesn't work. He retires. Again, the Colts don't sit on their hands at all. They go big. They throw a ton of resources at bringing in Sauce Gardner. It's very clear to me, Jack, and I know this is a very obvious statement, that the Colts know in order for this defense to work, it has to work, and it has to be driven by the secondary.
Yeah, and that's Coach Lou's scheme, right? It's got to be driven by the secondary. He puts those guys in a lot of tough positions and challenges them to make stops and cover guys for a long time and man coverage and different things like that. So I think they've made it very clear, like you're saying, Matt, that this is a huge part of our team. This is a huge part of what we see can help us be successful. And again, the complementary football of your secondary playing well is going to help the pass rush.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, and just creating, like we've talked about, just creating that tick of doubt from the quarterback, so that the pass rush can get home and get sacks and quarterback hits and things like that. So it's going to be, it's going to be big. It's going to be a great challenge, to have those. It's going to be a great challenge for those guys, going in against Patrick Mahomes.
So what's it going to look like, though? I mean, in the secondary with Ward and Gardner, is it going to be a lot more man-to-man than we're used to seeing, press at the line of scrimmage? Is it Ward's on the other team's best player? What do you think it's going to look like?
Yeah, I think each week will be different, and knowing who you're going against. When you're playing a veteran quarterback, I think you do need to go man-to-man because, a little bit more, because when you go zone, they figure it out, and they find the holes, and they kind of pick you apart. So when you have great corners who can play man-to-man and go up and challenge those receivers, and again, that's going to knock off the timing and help the pass rush get home and put pressure on them. But then you got to worry about, when you're playing man-to-man, Patrick Mahomes' escapability. So there's so many challenges that go into playing a great offense in the Chiefs. But like I said, Coach Lou has a formula. I think he's had a lot of success against the Chiefs. So it'll be a great challenge, and I'm excited to watch.
No doubt about it. The consistency could be there. The consistency that is there for the Colts is up front along their offensive line. The Colts have used only 2 different starting offensive line combinations all year. Again, knock on wood. I'm going to hold the football here. This is going to be the magic football. They have stayed healthy. They need to continue to stay healthy. And the guy that is the Iron Man up front, he never misses time, never misses snaps. It is Quenton Nelson, perennial Pro Bowl player, perennial All-Pro player. I'm going to get out of this chair. We're going to welcome in Quenton Nelson to the Jack Doyle podcast. And my man Jack's going to go one-on-one with the Colts starting left guard.
All right, we're back with the Jack Doyle podcast, and I'm joined by a very special guest, my former teammate and all-time great already, Big Quenton Nelson. Q, thanks for joining me, man. Go for the real thing.
Yes, sir.
All right, Q, we're going to jump into it, man. We're going to try and keep this more of a, two former teammates kind of chatting about football and chatting about you, which I know you don't always enjoy, but we'll kind of bring it around and talk about your teammates here at the end. But with Indiana, it's semi-states coming up this weekend for high school football. And I always, my son's playing third grade football, and it kind of makes me reminisce about my youth experience of starting out in football. I kind of want to just hear, what your experience was like as a youth playing football and high school. I mean, have you always been just like Quenton Nelson, the mauler, and just like road gating people?
No. But youth football was great. We won a lot of games. My dad was the head coach.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he did a lot of preparation, got us ready to play, and taught some good fundamentals. So that was fun. But I would say that happened in high school when I just got bigger than everyone. I was like 6'5".
Yeah.
Almost 300 pounds my junior year, and I was just crushing people that were way smaller than me and didn't have a chance. Shouldn't have been out there.
So what'd you play in high school? Did you play guard or were you at tackle?
I played left tackle.
Left tackle.
And D tackle.
Did you guys pass it all, or were you more like
all run?
All run.
Yeah,
like
it was awesome.
The best. Man.
You love the run.
Well, there's nothing best. Not as you know, Quinn. I'm sure you had a great high school experience, as you mentioned, but like there's nothing better than high school football. Like it's just the purest form of football. You're playing with your boys on Friday night, and I just loved it and missed those days. Maybe more than I miss playing for the Colts, right? But after that, you went on to Notre Dame. And I got to ask you about Notre Dame. I always bugged you about Notre Dame when we were playing.
Yep.
I'm secretly a huge Notre Dame fan, grew up, wanting to go there. And I always be like, Quenton, why'd you go to Notre Dame? Always asking you questions. You'd be like, Jack, leave me alone. So why Notre Dame? Was it kind of like a clear-cut choice, or did you have some options?
Yeah, so they were actually my last offer, and I visited there and loved Coach Harry Heastand, the way he ran a meeting and then his attention to detail on the field, coaching the group of guys that they had there. And the group of guys there, Zach Martin was there, Chris Watt, our assistant O-line coach, was there. And seeing them all interact with each other, it really seemed like a tight-knit group, brotherhood, and something I wanted to be a part of. And the campus is great. Academics are outstanding. So it was a easy choice for me.
Yeah. How do you say Notre Dame? Do you say it?
I say Notre Dame.
You don't say the Notre Dame?
No.
No, I think that's kind of weird. I don't understand why people say it that way. Yeah, Notre Dame. That's how I say it too. Well, cool. I always, growing up, like I said, I wanted to go to Notre Dame, so I always tried to like bug you about what was cool about Notre Dame and all that fun stuff. But we'll talk a little bit more about you, Quenton. So, as a rookie, obviously I got to play with you for 4 seasons, I believe. And it was a great honor to play with you. But even from the beginning,
Likewise.
you had an unbelievable knack for being a leader. So I kind of just want to talk about your leadership and the confidence you had as a rookie, even just stepping up and, you don't say a lot, but when something needs to be said, you say it. How has your leadership kind of evolved, throughout your career with the Colts?
Well, I would say as a rookie, you just come in, you shut up.
Yeah.
Like Tyler's done this year.
Yeah.
Head down and you work.
Yeah.
And you try to earn the respect of your teammates who are already established here. So, I had Andrew, I had Costanzo, Matt Slauson, you, T.Y., a bunch of guys on the offensive side of the ball that it's just like, hey, I'm going to listen to these guys. These guys are the established leaders of the team, and I'm just going to try to do my part to be my best week after week and help have the team have success. So more a lead by example guy earlier on in my career. And then as I progressed and earned my stripes, that's when you get a little bit more vocal and holding guys accountable and holding yourself accountable first and still leading by example every day and just trying to be the best version of yourself, be a guy that, guys want to emulate.
Yeah.
So that's what you do when you're a rookie. You try to emulate other guys who have been doing it for a long time at a high level.
Yeah, and now you're the guy everyone's trying to emulate, right, Quenton? And I've always been impressed with your leadership skills. And speaking of your holding guys accountable, right? That's not easy for guys to do, and sometimes it's hard to be the guy to say something, but you always went about it in the right way. When we play together, I know you're doing it the same way now, and first holding, like you said, holding yourself accountable, right? But then, hey, if you're not, holding up your end of the bargain, we got to say something about it, right? And make sure we're all on the same page. And speaking of Tyler, so we had Tyler on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he's great, man, and all the great things he's done early on to get going. But we joked about this when talking about him is you're a big help up the guy, right? You always, when someone gets tackled, who's the first one there? Quenton. And I secretly, when I was playing, I felt like I was doing a pretty good job of it, and then you came
You're
in
doing a great job.
Well, you came in as a rookie, and I'm like, holy crap, how'd Quenton beat me there, right? And I was secretly, I don't think we ever really talked about it, but I was always trying to beat you there, and especially if it was T.Y., I was like, no, I got to get T.Y. up. Like, Quenton's not beating me to T.Y. But where did that kind of come from? Did you do that in high school, college, or just something like it was, a knack for running to the ball?
It came in college with Coach Easton, as I mentioned before. He always had the offensive line take great pride in taking care of your teammates and helping them up and letting them know you got their back. All right, next play. And also, if the ball gets loose, you can go out and dive on it, which Bort did
that was awesome.
against Atlanta on the screen.
Yeah.
He was able to jump on the ball, which is why you run to the ball and chase the ball, because the play is never over, even though you've blocked your guy.
Yeah.
So it's being a great teammate, and then it's also, hey, the play's not over. If that ball pops out, you can, dive on the ball and keep the possession, and that's huge in this game we play. So.
Yeah, that's a great example of it. Like you said, Bortolini in the game in Berlin, early in the game, chasing the ball, right? Going there and never know, especially when you're blocking for a guy like Jonathan Taylor, you never know when you could even make another block to spring him. But yeah, I remember watching that. I even paused it and showed my, mentioned my son who's playing third grade football. I'm like, this is what you do. After you make a block, you chase the ball, right? Because this is what can happen. So I'm glad you brought that up because it's a great example of why you do that.
And I think it helped me as a rookie too in my second year, just like guys are like, damn, Q cares about me.
Yeah.
And it really helped me earn T.Y.'s respect, and he was like, dang, I mess with Q because, he's running to the ball, he's helping me up, and I don't think he had an offensive lineman do that for him.
No.
the way I was doing it back then. As you grow older, you get some injuries. It becomes a little harder to run to the ball. Still try to do it, though.
Yeah, what was Costanzo doing? Like, come on.
He was just focused on blocking his guy, locking him up, bro. He did not talk at all during the game.
Oh, it's best. Well, it's best is AC never said anything on the field. AC does not get enough credit for how good of a player he was.
And he won't give himself enough
credit.
No,
and he never will.
For how good he was.
But he never talks, right? I'd get to play next to him sometimes, right? And being on that side of the ball and be like, hey, AC, what do we got here? But he definitely started talking more when you showed up, Q. You brought it. You opened up a side of him that was never there before. But speaking of O-linemen, the group you guys have right now seems really close. And obviously the closeness, it's a direct correlation to how you guys are performing on the field. Talk about this group and Coach Soprano and how you guys have kind of all connected.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with Tony.
Yeah.
When he first came here and just like him giving us all the ability to speak in the meeting room and like have fun, like bull a little bit, but get our work done at a high level. Guys are excited to go in the meeting room because we know we're going to get our work in and improve, but we're also going to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
And he sets the tone every single day. He comes to work and he grinds so hard for this team. And again, just another guy who leads by example.
Yeah.
A guy you want to play for, a coach you want to play for. That's huge having. So his leadership has been tremendous for our group. He's done a great job the last 2.5 years, and we all appreciate him a lot. But then it's, messing with guys, like giving rookies a hard time and like piling up on them, but then also having their back on the field. It's like, hey, you don't mess with my rookie or stuff like that. And guys, learn to love the group and appreciate being a part of it. So the O-line dinners we have and the get-togethers, bonfires, it all goes a long way into us being close and it's showing out on the football field, which it's special to have because that's a hard thing to have in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, it's easier in high school when you're playing with your boys, but you really need to spend time together. It's so important because it draws you guys closer and allows you guys to have these bonds that, like, hey, I'm not just playing for myself or my why anymore. Like, my teammates have become my why, and I don't want to let them down because that's my boy I'm playing right next to.
Yeah.
And like, he's depending on me and I'm depending on him. We trust each other, and like, we're taking the field as one, and whatever happens, like, we're all going to be on the same page and play our hearts out for one another. And yeah, it's special.
Yeah, golly. I mean, guys, that's why you play offensive lineman. Do you hear everything he's saying? Like, I secretly always wanted to be an offensive lineman. I always felt like I would gravitate toward you guys and try to hang out and be, part-time snack. Oh, I miss those snacks, man.
Were great.
Snacks are the best, and you get to hang out with the O-linemen after, we're speaking of Saturday nights, after, you have a team meeting or whatever, and you have a quick snack, and, everyone's got that little bit of anxiety in their belly getting ready for the game the next day.
Stress eating.
Yeah, exactly. Too many chocolate chip cookies with a little bit of salt on them. But you're with your guys, and it helps calm that anxiety because, I knew Quenton Nelson had my back. I knew, speaking of Costanzo, those guys have your back, and Braden and all those guys you're playing with. It's a really good feeling. But speaking of teammates, we have to talk about what Jonathan Taylor's doing. You've been with Jonathan his whole career. And, I don't want to compare the 21 season because that's why I saw Jonathan rolling. I was playing with him. I was with him every day. But this year, it seems he's taking it to a whole nother level. I mean, just speak on Jonathan and what it means to be his teammate and play with a guy like that.
I mean, it's an honor. It's a privilege.
Yeah.
It's all those things. And it's especially just awesome when it's such a great guy having this success. As you know, you were his teammate. He's an incredible human being. And it's hard to say like what he's done differently. He's just improving and every single year. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but he's just an animal. It's definitely different than 21 in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just what he's been able to do and like break the long ones.
Yeah.
Like the 83 yard or however many yards
Yeah,
it was, like he's just doing that on a consistent basis week after week, making incredible runs. And you just never know what can happen when the ball hits his hands. And he's humble as all can be.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that's going to let the success go to his head. And he's just humble and hungry. He wants more. He wants to be the best.
Yeah.
And it's special playing with a guy like that.
Yeah, and I think he kind of got that O lineman approach to him, and he doesn't want to let his teammates down. You know, that's what I always thought about. He wants to be one of the guys and help the team in any way he can. That's what I always, like you said, you talk about the type of person he is. You just don't see that from superstar running backs, right? And we got a special one in Jonathan Taylor. And continue to talk about teammates. You know, obviously I never played with Daniel Jones, but, you know, you've played with a lot of different quarterbacks and you know, we got to play with Andrew together. We got to play with Phillip and great leaders. And I know, you know, Matt Ryan, I know the success wasn't always there for that year, but I know you spoke highly of him. Just kind of talk about, you know, Daniel's demeanor and what his leadership to this team is kind of meant.
I mean, it's huge. He works his tail off every single day. He's got his routine, and you see him follow that every single day with film study, with what he does before practice, all the work he does to be ready to go in practice, just like he's going to be ready to go in the game. And then he's out there in the huddle, like calm, poised, and collected, getting that play call out, getting the right kills going. And we're having a lot of fun together.
Yeah.
You know, he's celebrating a ton with all the success he's having. He's having incredible throws week after week. And it's been an honor playing with him for sure.
Has he like yelled or got on you guys at all yet? Or is that not come? You guys have been rolling. So it's
No,
probably,
dude,
he probably doesn't. Does he have that in him, you think? Or
I think he does have it in him, but he hasn't done that. He holds himself accountable first and foremost.
yeah, that's
like
awesome.
whenever something goes wrong, it's always I need to be better.
What could I have done to help my teammates more?
Like
yeah.
he puts so much on himself. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, the amount of pressure you faced today was insane, or like the hits, and like we need to be better as an offensive line for you, and like, hey, we're going to do that next week for you. But it's with him, it's always like I need to be better. So hasn't yelled at anyone else because he's so focused on himself and being better for us.
Yeah, and taking accountability. I think that's when you get that.
He's taking too much accountability.
Yeah, that's in your opinion.
Some grace.
Yeah, but that's that's
because he's a big reason why we're here.
Exactly,
we're sitting at 8-2, and like so much of our success is because of him and the way he's leading our offense week after week, and you know. The whole team just has a belief that we can win any game because of his presence.
Yeah.
And seeing his work and knowing what he can do. So, like, he's so important to this team because he gives us belief in ourselves.
That's exactly what you want from the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
All the things you just described, and always, you know, I always said a great quarterback makes your job easier, right? Because they always try to do more to help you, right? And take more accountability so I can help you. But you're the leader of the O-line group, so you're saying, no, man, we got to do more to help you. And that's why we're having so much success as an offense, I think, is from the leadership. Starts with you, Quenton, in my opinion. But then you got Pitt leading the wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
You got, you know, Mose leading those tight ends. And you guys just have such great veteran leadership right now on an offense. And it's – man, you guys are so much fun to watch, and I'm kind of a little bit jealous, you know, not being a little bit a part of it, right? And especially blocking for Jonathan, like I miss that so much, man, and watching a guy roll like that. But we'll end with a couple of fun questions here, Q. All right, so you're a pretty good basketball player. I've seen you shoot. You got a nice little sky hook, if I remember right, left-handed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading your Wikipedia as I'm, you know, now I'm a media guy prepping for this interview. And you were a baller in hoops too, right? And
I was solid.
So yeah, here's the question. I've asked a lot of guys this: can you beat? Because I'm close with Mo. Can you beat Mo Alley-Cox one-on-one in basketball? And what would be your strategy to beat him?
There's no way you're beating Mo one-on-one in basketball, man.
No, you can't body him. Mo is strong.
He's very strong.
He's a freak.
And you see that with his blocking. He's so strong and he's huge. Obviously played on VCU and D1 and killed it when he was playing. But I've played some pickup with him one time, and just like the things he was doing on that court, there is no strategy, bro.
Yeah,
like whatever you do, you're going to lose.
Yeah, he's got the ins and outs. All right, we'll give that one to Mo, even though I hate to do that. All right, last question here. All right, you're a left guard. Mm-hmm. If you could play any position besides left guard, let's say you have the same ability. So you're what? I don't know your stats. You're like a million-time All-Pro and like always go to the Pro Bowl, whatever. You're a stud. You know that. You don't like people saying it to you, but I'll say it to you. So you have the same abilities. What other position would you play in football?
If I could play any position.
Any position. You have the same abilities. So you're
and I think like making it realistic, like I'm not going to pick a skill position. I'm going D-line. I'm playing D-line.
And you're just like 15 sacks every single year.
Well, I don't know if it would be that.
I don't
think
at your level, you're double-digit sack guy every year.
But I just think it would be really fun to play D-line because, like, all the stress, I think, is put on the offensive line. It's like if you give up a sack or you have a false start or a holding or, you give up a TFL, like, it's like, oh, this guy stunk today. Like, defensive linemen can get blocked the whole game. They make one play. All you need is that one play, and I think if I could take my knowledge of O-line play and go play D-line, hear the offensive line's calls, know what's coming, and I could play with that awareness. I think I could be pretty good.
I think you'd probably be good even without having to change your body in any way. You think you're better than Grove at D tackle?
No.
But to your point, though, I always thought this was a good idea, and I've always thought this. Like in the spring, I think the O lineman should go meet with the D lineman coach and just like learn like basic techniques and be coached how to play that so that you know how to defeat it, right? And you know what they're being taught. I don't know. That's my. If you want to suggest put that in the suggestion box and see where it goes. But Q, you're the man. I appreciate you doing this, man. I truly mean this, Q. You're the ultimate teammate, man. Obviously, you're a great player and all that fun stuff, but the way you carry yourself, the way you play this game of football is just something that I was truly honored to play with, and I'm having a lot of fun watching you play. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks, man. I got to learn from the best.
Number 56 right there kept the chair warm. That's a big boy.
He's good at that.
And tell you what, we talked about Iron Man. He is a 7-time Pro Bowler. He is the only Colt in the history of the franchise to make the Pro Bowl in each of his first 7 years. And I don't think there's any reason why this year's not going to be number 8. 5-time All-Pro player, 3-time first-team All-Pro, and he's only missed 4 games in his NFL career. What did you appreciate the most about Q when you played with him on this offense?
He's just a great teammate, man. He holds people accountable, and he plays the game the right way. He makes you want to play harder, right? He makes you want to play with the extra effort. He's a future Hall of Famer. Let's call it what it is, right? And he plays this game with an effort that you would think you'd see from a guy fighting for a roster spot each and every week. He's just the ultimate teammate, man. It was an honor to play with him.
Isn't it crazy to think that the Colts have 2 future Hall of Famers on this team?
Yeah.
And Taylor and
That's
Nelson.
crazy.
That's not even hyperbole.
No, I get to say I was teammates with him too.
Yeah.
I sweet.
Yeah.
Hopefully they invite me. I'll go to Canton.
And two certain Ring of Honor guys as well, right? So you're watching greatness in real time. That's why I wanted to go back, a couple of segments ago, if you will, on the podcast. We need to appreciate what we're watching in real time.
It's just amazing. These guys are just these are future Hall of Fame players, and what they're doing is just. We can't take it for granted, and we have to appreciate it And again, it can't happen to better guys, right? These are guys you want your kids to emulate in the way they carry themselves, and again, the way they play the game of football is just it's just a joy to watch.
No doubt about it. All right, speaking of joys to watch, for most Kansas City Chiefs fans out there, I should say, that's been their team. A joy to watch. All right, the consistency, the level of success. All right, over the last 6 seasons, the Chiefs have appeared in 5 Super Bowls. They've won 3 of them. Last year, they clinched their 9th straight AFC West title. They were the first team in the history of the NFL to host 5 consecutive conference championship games. They've appeared in 7 straight conference championship games. Last year, they became the first team in NFL history to advance to a 3rd straight Super Bowl after winning the previous 2. We know they didn't get the job done last year, but they have been a dynasty. But it looks like the foundation is coming apart a little bit, right? I don't want to speak too soon, but people in Kansas City and Chiefs Kingdom, they're freaking out. They're 5-5, Jack, and they're not winning these one-score games like they have been so accustomed to. Going into last year, or I should say going into this season, they had a streak of winning 17 straight one-score games.
Wow.
Games decided by 8 points or fewer. This year, they're 0-5 in one-score games. So when you watch them casually and then going into this week, when you look at them obviously more intently on tape, Jack, why are they not closing out close games like they were in 2023 and 2024? That was the case this past Sunday. They lost 22-19 to the Broncos. They had the ball twice, the Chiefs did, with a chance to go down and close it out, and they went 3-and-out both times.
Yeah, I was watching that game, and they've hit the point where you just expect it, right? You just expect 17 straight. They've won 17, or they won before this season.
Going into this season, yeah.
That's insane. And then 0-5 this year. Honestly, I think that's just a little bit of maybe they were just playing with fire a little bit too much, right? And playing these one-score games that eventually, the football guys are going to be like, hey, you need to lose some of these. Stop messing around and playing these one-score games. But like you said, Matt, this is all they know. All they know is winning football and conference championship games and hosting conference championship games. It's just incredible what they've done and Coach Reed leading the way. But it makes it fun for this challenge coming up, Matt. I loved playing in Kansas City. It's an unbelievable atmosphere. The fans know football, right? They really do, and they cheer when they're supposed to. They're loud when they're supposed to. And it's a fun place to play.
I was going to ask you played there 3 times, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, sure.
And I think, you did.
Sounds right.
It'd be easy for me to tell you, right?
Yeah.
But twice you played them in December and January, so cold weather.
Yeah.
So what's it like to play there? Because, it's flat, the wind chill, the wind plus the noise. Where did that rank when you played them in those conditions in terms of toughest environments you experienced?
I love it. That's how football's supposed to be played, man. It's supposed to be played outside on grass in winter weather. That's what I think, right? I remember, so my rookie year we played there in 13.
Yeah.
And it was
December. Yeah.
It was 4 degrees. It was the coldest game I ever played.
Yeah.
Maybe the Buffalo Blizzard game was, felt colder than that, but degree wise, it was the coldest game I ever played. And I remember now they got the heaters under the field to kind of make sure the grass doesn't freeze. But I remember the end zone was an ice skating rink.
They had to paint the ice green.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it really was. Your cleats didn't go in the ground, so you wouldn't stop. And
that was right next to the tunnel when you guys are walking out.
Yeah, you remember?
Or running out. You guys are slipping all over the place.
Yeah. Luckily, I wasn't going to be in the end zone. At that point, I wasn't going to be back there.
Come on now.
I was worried about blocking for Donald Brown.
You still got to make it onto the field, though.
I was trying to make. I got to get out there and hopefully do some special team stuff and go do some ISO blocks back then. But yeah, that was fun. We won that game. That was a fun game, a December football game. And it's, like I said, Matt, it's a great atmosphere, and it's a fun place to play. Yeah,
the Chiefs have never lost 3 in a row. They've lost back-to-back games going into this game. They've never lost 3 in a row under Patrick Mahomes. Wow. All right? And it's with their season right now, Jack, you're going to get – the Colts are going to get their best shot. Yeah. They are in 3rd place in the division. Right now, if the playoffs started today, they would not be in. They're in the ninth place in the AFC playoff pecking order. This is uncharted waters for them. So They got a tough schedule the rest of the way, but they're trying to make a statement against the Colts, but also they're trying to save their season.
Yeah, that place is going to be rocking, man.
Yeah.
The fans know, the players know, everyone knows what's at stake for them in this game to kind of get. They're trying to get themselves back on track to what they've been and who they think they are. I'm like, let's go play. Like, let me go practice. They think they can sign me for, I'll get like a kick return. I'll block somebody and then get me out of there. But, I want to go play.
To feel that environment.
Yeah, just be a part of it, man. This is why you used to have coaches say, this is why you lift all them weights.
That's right.
This is why you run all those, gassers in the summer. This is it, right?
Yeah.
We're starting to get the feel for playoff football. Like you said, Matt, they felt it a little bit last week in Berlin. You get to November, December, football's coming. Like, it's time to roll. This is why you do all that, heavy lifting, all that hard work, all that preparation.
Just like this.
This is it. This is what you want. You want an opportunity, and that's what the Colts got in front of them.
All right, lastly, to close out, speaking of opportunity, this is going to be a great opportunity for Tyler Warren to share the same field with an all-time great, a future Hall of Famer in his position in Travis Kelce. So just for discussion's sake, I'm fascinated by this because you played the position as well. Mm-hmm. So we got two great tight ends plus a great tight end that can analyze it and yourself, Jack. I mean, Travis Kelce, he owns the most receptions in Chiefs history, the most receiving yards in Chiefs history. He is the only Chiefs player over 12,000 career receiving yards. Last week, I don't know if you saw it against the Broncos, but he set the Chiefs record for scrimmage touchdowns in franchise history. But this is crazy. This goes back to the Jonathan Taylor stat that we talked about with what he does after he gets hit. But Kelce, it's what he does after he catches the ball. Since 2013, Travis Kelce ranks first in yards after the catch by all NFL players and ranks second all time in NFL history in YAC. He has over 6,000 career receiving yards after the catch. So that's the GOAT.
Yeah.
The up-and-coming great player already for the Colts is Tyler Warren. He leads the NFL this year among tight ends in YAC. And again, last week in Berlin, passed Dwayne Allen for the most catches by a rookie tight end in Colts history. Also passed Allen for the third most receiving yards by a rookie tight end in team history. So when you watch these two guys, obviously you have a bigger sample size of Kelce than Warren. But when you watch these two guys, Jack, what are the similarities and what are the differences in their game so far?
Yeah, first thing I think of when you think of guys leading in YAC, yards after catch, they must be great at creating separation in their routes, right? Because it's not catch, tackle, right? It's catch, run.
Yeah.
So both of them have great instincts. That Tyler has impressed me so much early in his career of just his instincts, right? And doing what Daniel expects him to do. And I think I've heard Daniel say this too. It's like there's some things you don't even need to talk about, right? And Tyler just does them. He does what what the quarterback expects him to do, and creating separation and finding the holes. And that's what Kelce has made a career on, right? Him and Patrick Mahomes are on the same page, and he was doing it before he even had Patrick, right? And with Alex Smith, and he's just so – his instincts are incredible, right? And it's something you can't coach. It's something you can't teach sometimes. It's just these guys just both have a knack for getting open and figuring out a way to get open against everything you throw at him. I'm sure Kelce has seen everything under the sun as far as double teams and zone, man, whatever you want to put on him, a linebacker, a safety, a corner. He's seen it all. And he has unbelievable instincts in finding ways to get open and finding the holes in defenses.
Yeah. You a Taylor Swift guy? Travis Kelce?
I wouldn't say I'm a Taylor Swift guy.
Yeah, no?
I like her music. Sure.
You don't have a favorite Taylor Swift song? I'm sure your wife likes Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
right?
she likes Taylor Swift. I wouldn't say we're like Swifties. I'm not trying to call out like I like her. I appreciate what she did.
You're just going to offend an entire
no,
culture.
I don't want to do that. Golly, that's scary. That's scary. But I really appreciate what she does. But I wouldn't say I'm a diehard. Like,
no.
I know what she's like eating for breakfast or like stuff like
there's
that.
people out there.
Yeah, there's people out there.
There's people out there.
But I do appreciate. I mean, what an unbelievable talent! Like, I mean, it's incredible what she's been able to do, and seems like a good person. So
no doubt.
Yeah, happy for them.
I'm sure she's going to be at the game on Sunday.
I'm sure they need it. They need they need the atmosphere.
They need that Swift magic now.
Bring her in.
Hopefully the Colts can negate some of that on Sunday. All right, we always close out the podcast with a fun little segment here with Jack Doyle. We call it "You Don't Know Jack," because you don't know Jack probably as well as we want to, because he played, all those years behind the pads and the face mask and the helmet. So we're stripping all that off. We're going to get to know you a little bit better here personally, Jack. So we're closing out here. We do it every week. I feel like we've done a good job of, peeling back the onions on yourself here. So this week's question is on You Don't Know Jack Doyle. What is the worst thing, Jack, you got away with as a kid growing up? You don't really.
I don't think I can say, Matt.
You probably weren't like a rebel. You weren't like a rambunctious kid.
I was a good kid.
I mean this as a compliment. Yeah, you're probably a rule follower.
I am a rule follower. Yeah. I'm a people pleaser. All those.
You were a good kid growing up.
All those lame things. Yeah, I was a good kid. My parents were pretty lax though. I don't. It wasn't like I had strict parents or anything like that.
Come on, give me something.
When I went to high school, what I do? I'm trying to think of like stuff I did that I like regret. So I did, Matt, obviously you kind of sent me the question before, so I was kind of thinking of it on the way in.
Yeah.
So there's one time, and I still regret this. Okay. So I actually got in trouble for it, so I didn't even get away with it. So I was a middle schooler. I think I was in 8th grade, and we, as a middle schooler, you're 13, 14 years old, right? And the frontal lobe of your brain is not developed, right? So you're an idiot. It is basically what I'm saying. And
you're being serious.
Yeah, I kinda. But what I did is
the immaturity factor.
The immaturity was huge.
Yeah.
So we were into pantsing each other. Matt, I don't know if you guys ever went through that phase.
Yeah, there was a phase there.
There was a phase where and so I pantsed, and I got to shout out my guy Danny McNeilis, good buddy of mine.
Okay.
And I pantsed him,
okay.
and it all came out, and I felt really bad, and I got in trouble. I had to clean around the school. That was like my punishment for recess. I had to
So you're 8th grade?
8th grade.
Yeah.
It was like the end. Like we were almost done. So like I could have gotten more trouble, and but I didn't, and I still feel bad about it. So I got to shout out Danny. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was dared to do it. I'm not going to throw who dared me under the bus. But I was dared to do it, and it's just I still feel bad about it for Danny. And I know Danny's doing well.
I was going to say.
Danny's fine. Danny's fine. I didn't scar him or anything like that. But I still have regret about it.
Oh, sure.
I still feel bad. And if my son does that, he will be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the stupid stuff kids do.
Yeah, like,
you know what I
you're
mean?
just idiot. And now I'm teaching, middle school kids. So maybe I shouldn't have said that story because,
don't give any ideas.
They can use it against me.
Right.
But you're just an immature, little idiot, right?
Stupid stuff.
You're just
you think it's funny, that's not.
It's not funny.
Right.
Like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. So yeah, that's probably my, big regret. And I still have like remorse about it and feel bad about it.
Even all these years later.
This
is like your Billy Madison moment, like when you call the guy on the phone.
Yeah, it is.
Boy, I'm
crossing it off.
Glad I called that guy.
I called that guy.
Right?
Oh, Matt, I'm up here sharing. Now you got to give me something here.
Yeah.
What do you got?
So similar deal. So I'm a sophomore in high school, and I didn't have my license yet, but this girl that I was talking to.
It always starts with a girl.
So this girl that I was talking to is a hair older. She got her license. She comes and picks me up, and there's that probationary period where you're not supposed to have people in your car. I talk her into just coming over and picking me up anyways. We go to now you got me going. I don't want to go to a place where I'm about to go, but then we park the car in a place we shouldn't park the car, in a developmental area, like a construction zone.
Yeah.
Just because we think no one's going to be there, and then all of a sudden we see cherries and berries. Woo, 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 So then we get pulled out of the car. So you talk about like regrets, because we both got in trouble, but I got her into trouble because I was in her car when I wasn't supposed to. And so she got, whatever it was, points on her license, and, the parents had to be called. And just stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Why did you think you could get away with this?
Your brain is not fully developed, and you don't know how to think yet. But yeah, life lessons, right?
Yeah.
You grow from it.
But if that's the worst thing that you do or I do,
Yeah, if our kids do,
yeah,
we're doing a pretty good job.
It's good perspective because my kids are going to do stupid stuff.
Golly.
Your kids are going to do stupid stuff, and you're going to be like, "What were you thinking?" And then you think back to those memories of you being 12 years old, and you're like, "Yep, that's just what kids do.
That's just what they do.
Their brains aren't developed yet.
They don't work.
Yeah?
They don't work all the way yet.
That's why you need to listen to the Jack Doyle podcast
yes.
to develop yourself.
Yes.
And become smarter.
We're giving life lessons here.
And make better choices.
That's it.
That's what we do, baby.
That's what we do.
Good job. Appreciate you sharing that right there. Man, you got deep. You made me get deep too.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, you had to match it, right?
I did have to match it right there.
Yeah,
that's
that was
intensity. The Colts are trying to match that intensity.
Let's go.
This Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs. The 5-5 Chiefs, man, they've got, they want that leverage back, and they're trying to save their season. The Colts are trying to play spoiler at Arrowhead Stadium. Jack Doyle is one of his favorite places to play. It's one of my favorite places to be. The energy is going to be high. Sunday at 1 o'clock. And we'll do it again next week, Thursday, on the Jack Doyle podcast here in the Colts podcast channel. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. The Colts are back in action after the bye. I don't know where to look right now. I got two cameras, Jack. You tell me, right? I got camera one.
Matt, you're asking the wrong
two.
guy.
All right, I feel like Wayne's World here, right? It doesn't matter. We're closing out the show. We'll be back next week talking ball with the great Jack Doyle. I'm Matt Taylor. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next week.